Hey, welcome to the Weathered Soul podcast. You got Bruce, aka the Weathered Soul, here, and DJ Dougie right over there. Say hi to DJ Dougie because we are so happy that he is back on the Weathered Soul podcast. And after I let him have a week off because he had some family in town, and I'm so glad to have him back because we had like a 29-minute episode last week, and I just rambled on and was wishing that Doug was here to argue with me some way or somehow, but he is back today, and man, we're so glad you're back. How you doing, Doug? What's going on, man?
Doing good. I'm doing all right, man.
Yeah, how was your week off, man? You look all nice and refreshed. You even look younger, man. I mean, I don't know.
Thanks. Yeah, back to work Tuesday, or back to work Wednesday. Pretty short week last week. This week was hell.
It's always hell when you come back from a vacation to go to work, because absolutely nobody does my work when I'm gone. So I'm sure that your job is the same way, and you just never know. I pick up I feel like I have the world on top of my shoulders every time before I go to vacation, and then I have to lift that back up once I get back to work and shoulder everything. But
well, a crew leader left for a month's vacation today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now, guess who?
Of course.
Yeah. So I get to work with kids less than half my age. Some of them don't even have driver's license.
Smart ass kids, man.
Yeah, but most of them are good workers.
Well, they try to be. I'm sure.
Yeah, they just don't know it. They just don't know anything. They can't figure anything out.
Exactly.
It's like today. They called up and said the modules aren't fitting on the roof. It's like, oh, we can only fit 12. Can't get 13 no matter what we do. It's like, well, figure it out, guys, because I'm not going to go there and change your diapers.
You played Tetris all your life. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't figure it out, call your boss and tell him the situation. It's that simple.
That's too awesome, man. So anyway, we just want to welcome everybody back to the Weathered Soul podcast. You can get us the audio portion of the audio of the Weathered Soul podcast on anchor.fm/the Weathered Soul podcast. We got a special show at the end. So those of you who are listening or who are here on the live podcast on YouTube Live or Facebook, hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe to our podcast, because that's the way we go up and down the charts. We need you guys to go to iTunes and give us a rating, a 5-star rating, and a comment or a question or whatever you do. Please, I know that there's, I know how many listeners we have out there. I know how many reviews that we have out there in iTunes. And believe me, our reviews do not match what our viewership is or what our listenership is. And we really would like to move up the charts, because every time we move up the charts and every time that you guys listen to our podcast or watch our podcast, we get paid a little by anchor.fm. And we would just love to be able to keep doing this podcast. It does cost a little bit to do the podcast. I mean, this is not like me and Doug are, taking vacations to Tahiti every week because you guys are gracing us with all of your listenership. But I mean, it does take, it takes time, this StreamYard app that we're using, it costs money every month, and luckily Anchor.fm is free. It's a free podcast distribution. All I got to do is run an ad for Anchor.fm, and we'd love you to be able to do that. But also, if you'd like to be a sponsor, we would love to have you advertise on the Weathered Soul podcast. So please drop us an email at info@weatheredsoul.com, or give me a call at my personal line, 408-842-1328, and we would be happy to have you as a sponsor. So a special show today. I did a video segment on barbecuing ribs and it's a 20-minute video. And for those of you that are listening on the Weathered Soul podcast on anchor.fm or your favorite podcatcher, in the show notes, there is a link to the the video that I'm talking about. For you guys that are going to be watching the podcast today, please wait till the end of the podcast, because we don't want to jumble up the podcast with 20 minutes of video while me and Dougie just sit here and watch it, because I've watched it several times because I made it. It took me a long time to make. The reason why we didn't do it on Monday, because it took Monday. I did this on Sunday, and it took Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night to edit all the video, put in everything that I wanted to put in. And basically it was a big learning curve for me, but it was fun. I learned how to do something new on the computer. It was fantastic. And I just can't wait to do it again someday with some other project that I have. But it's called Stick Smoking is a pain in the ass, but believe me, it was a fun project, and everybody had some great food on Sunday when my ribs came off of the grill. Dougie didn't get any because he wasn't here, but he's had some of my ribs before, so he's had some ribs off of Baby. But this is a brand new smoker I've got, and he'll have some ribs off it very soon, I'm sure. But that is coming at the end of the podcast. So if you guys want to stay aboard, wait till the end of the podcast, or when or if you're watching it, later after the simulcast, let's wait till the end of the podcast. And after Dougie says good night, Dougie, we will start the video. But we have a great show this week. I just had like I said, I had a good weekend. Ended up working in my garden again, as usual, transplanting and making sure that everything is growing. We had our first zucchinis come out of the ground. We've got tomatoes coming up. We got some peppers that we've harvested. My little maids all in a row are getting nice and big, and I topped those. So we're gonna have a nice little victory garden here come October. Not too sure about the Brussels sprouts. They're looking, they're looking big, but and they look like they got some sprouts going on, but I'm really not too sure. This is the first time I've ever grown Brussels sprouts. We got plenty of squash, plenty of beans.
They take a long time.
They do take a long time, so I think it's going to be a while before I get anything. So I'm going to be doing some research on that, and that's one of the things I do. I do research. So I know what the hell I'm talking about when I come back on here, and it was just a really, really eye-opening experience to be able to grow certain things in my yard, and it's been doing good. I know Dougie does a little bit of gardening, and he's given us we got a wealth of amount of spider plants in our backyard thanks to Dougie. I think I've got some at least 100-year-old spider plants in my backyard now. At least
they're at least 50.
They're at least 50, and
or descendants of a 50-year-old.
Yeah, we got a lot of those, and we did a lot of succulents this year, and just a really good time just doing gardening. If you guys ever have the chance and you want to garden, man, I would just, to me, it is so relaxing in doing gardening and getting your hands in the dirt and things like that. Is just really, really. It's really, really therapeutic for me. But I also started my seedlings this weekend. They're sitting in the shed now underneath the grow light. So I started a whole bunch of my fall seedlings. So when we turn over our garden, probably start turning over some of the plants, probably end of July, early mid-August, something like that. Some of the beans and some of the peas and stuff will start going away, and I'll replace those with either more beans or peas or some lettuce or whatever else that I've got queued up. I did some pumpkins, so I'm going to be growing some pumpkins here for October, and just a myriad of things that keep going on every month with the Weathered Soul podcast, and with my garden with Cassidy McGee and the great big garden I have out there. Man, how you doing, Doug? What's going on with you, man? How you been? I'm just say how you been again.
My seed pumpkin, I put out in the garden, and I was going to split it open and then cover it with compost, but something got into it and ate all the seeds.
Oh,
left the pumpkin behind. I could make a pie, but all the seeds are gone.
I do not have a picture of it, but we had a pumpkin sitting out on a high chair on our deck. And we had it out there for a long time, and nothing's ever bugged it. Nothing ever bugged it at all.
Yeah.
And one day I went over there and I looked, and there's this round hole on the side with all the seeds pulled out of it. And and I thought that it might have been a mouse, but we haven't had a rodent problem in a while.
Squirrel.
I think it was either a squirrel or something, but they got in there and they got all the seeds and got out, and I had to shit can the pumpkin. That pumpkin was around for all year. We bought that pumpkin at Safeway, like right before Halloween last year.
Yeah. Well, that's what we always did as kids. We get the pumpkins for Halloween and we just leave them out, right? And then the animals would eat them over the winter.
Right.
But here, they don't rot.
Right.
Right. The weather's so mild. It's like you can leave a pumpkin on your doorstep from, October until June.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That would never happen back in New England. Yeah. By December, it's a pile of mold.
Yeah, I know around here, I mean, we keep them forever. We had one that we had Anthony's picture on, and it finally went bad, and we had to get rid of it. But yeah, it's just squashes are good. You keep them in the dark, or keep them away from the sun and stuff like that, and they'll be good. But anyway, on with the show. I just want to let you guys know how my weekend was, let you know how Dougie's vacation was, and we're just going to go on with the show.
We got your sunflowers in pots.
Nice.
Split them up into groups of 2. So there's 2, 2, and 2, and 2, which is nice. They're doing really good. We kind of wilted a little bit the first day, but we gave them some water and they perked right back up. One of them's got a big bud starting on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, really nice. Tomatoes got flowers, or cucumbers have got flowers, all that stuff.
Great.
But talking about relaxing and enjoying the gardening stuff, it's like, when we moved to Connecticut and we cleared a spot in the woods for our garden, we had to do it all, right? It was a forest. So, we cleared it out, cleared the brush out, cut all the stumps, dug all the stumps out, all by hand, all with a pitchfork, a spade, and a pickaxe, just a pick. That was all we had in a wheelbarrow. And yeah, we dug all the roots out, we dug all the stumps out, we furrowed it, we pitchforked it down.
You guys are cavemen.
2 feet deep.
Yeah, you guys are cavemen.
Yeah. And then, then composted it and mulched it and composted it and mulched it. And then probably about 10 years later, we finally, got some boards and, some 2x12s and, made like 4 or 5 great big, raised beds in it. And, we always had a fence around it to keep the critters out. But the deer population got so bad that we had to put up 2 layers of fence. So not just a 4-foot high fence. Now we had an 8-foot high fence. And the stuff inside the garden is so tempting, so attractive to the deer. One day we found a deer hanging 4 feet up in the fence. He tried to jump over the fence and got his hooves through, the little 2x4 inch square kind of fence. You know what I'm talking about? That steel fence that's it's wire and it's welded. It's about 2 inches by 4 inch holes in it. Well, 2 of his hooves went into those holes. And he came down, and there's the fence leaning over with.
Oh my gosh!
In it. But yeah. After that, we kind of gave up on the garden. It's like,
that's too funny.
Gotta kill the deer. We're not gonna do it.
Well, thanks because Adam bit the apple where you have to toil our soil forever.
Yeah.
It's not like we could just go in the garden and pick anything we want now.
But it is the rewards are fantastic though. There's nothing better than fresh veggie.
Yeah,
our nectarines are going to be done soon. Probably, I think maybe they'll be a couple of days late this year because we had some cold weather. We've got some nice ones on the tree. I think we're going to have plenty.
Can I get a bag?
Well, you got to come over and get it yourself.
I know.
What do you want? Hey, listen. I had a lot of nopales on my prickly pear. I drove home
prickly
yesterday.
Pears on your nopales. Prickly pears on your nopales.
No. Yeah, the sticking out of the prickly pear. Anyway, I drove home yesterday. I look over at the thing because I remember Monday they were there. Because I said, I want to cut some of those for the guys I work with. I drove home yesterday. I looked, they're all gone.
Somebody came and harvested them?
Yeah, thank you so much. God, I hate having to do that.
that's the beauty of gardening. Sometimes you want somebody just to come pick them all. I mean, I would love somebody to come pick my lemons every year. I mean, I have so many lemons on my lemon tree. It's just unbelievable.
That was one thing that was nice when my brother came over to visit. He looked at the orange trees. He says, "Are they any good?" So I don't know, try one. He tried one and said, "Yeah, these are great." So he picked like 2 dozen of them and juiced them all. We had fresh squeezed orange juice for 3 days.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'd have a lot of screwdrivers, man. Whenever I get oranges from my boss, man, it's screwdriver night. Yeah, that's what it is. But I love it. But yeah, seriously, staying on the garden thing. Seriously, guys. It is kind of time to the times are the way they are. And with the way that inflation is running, with the way that we're coming out of the pandemic and things like that, it was really kind of I won't say bittersweet, but kind of a realization that we got back to doing things the way we kind of used to do in the old days. And a lot of people started learning how to garden, started learning how to do a lot of things that they didn't know how to do before. And I've been gardening for forever. Since I was 8 years old, I've been gardening. And, it's not a cheap hobby by far, but it's a satisfying hobby, and to be able to bite into a tomato that's not made in a greenhouse and GMO and each tomato is the same and
actually
stuff like
has
that.
Taste.
It actually has taste, that you've never tasted before, and the flavor is so much different, and so you've got an abundance. And what happens when you have an abundance is that, you just go out and share it. You share it with your neighbors, you share it with the food banks and stuff like that. They're more than happy to take all your abundance. You can trade it with your neighbors. I mean, if like I'm going to trade some stuff with Dougie to get some of my nectarines, because he's got nectarines. I don't have nectarines, but I've got probably something that he doesn't have. I don't know what it is that he doesn't have, but I'll trade him something, So
how about the winning lotto numbers?
The winning lotto number. There we go. The winning lotto number for some nectarines. But really, I mean, things are becoming a problem, and I want to touch on something that we really touch on a whole lot of the time when we're here on the Weathered Soul podcast, and I'm trying not to get too political with it, but always politics do meld into the subject when we talk about homelessness, and the NPR came out with a article on June 8th by Greg Rosalsky at San Francisco, California. The title of it, and we want to thank NPR for giving us the permission to go ahead and use this article, How California Homelessness Became a Crisis. Now, to paint the picture, a homeless man sleeps on the sidewalk near San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge on December 5th, 1919 in San Francisco, California. That is the image that we saw when we opened up the
2019.
2019. And for a city as opulent as San Francisco, it's been long jarring to see the extreme poverty of those experiencing homelessness on the streets. And if you walk around downtown, tents and makeshift cardboard beds and human excrement can be seen littering the sidewalks. Impoverished people lie on the ground as a blur of highly paid professionals whiz by. I stopped going to San Francisco years ago. It had to be, besides going to a Giants game, it's been a long time since I've actually walked the streets of San Francisco, but I do see the pictures that other people that are on Reddit or Twitter, not much on Facebook, but Twitter and Reddit are mostly the places that you can go see some of the spectacular or unspectacular photos of what's going on in our inner cities, in some of the cities like San Francisco and some of the cities like Portland, Los Angeles. The big metro areas are the ones that are getting hit the most, and we in Gilroy have our own homeless problem here, but it's exacerbated by the fact of you have a place like San Francisco that is so rich, and I mean we're relatively a wealthy town down here in Gilroy, but you if you want to talk about high rises and high finance and high living and high tech and everything, you think of San Francisco and Oakland and places like that. So San Francisco is pretty typical of a major American city these days, especially on the West Coast. 10 cities filled with poverty-stricken people have sprouted up from San Diego to Seattle. As of January 2020, California had alone 151,000 inhabitants experiencing homelessness. So that's a lot of people, just in the span of that area between, 1,000 miles, maybe 1,500 miles up and down the coast. If you go 1,500 miles, you got 15,000 or was it 1,500 people, in the span, spanning up that every mile. That's a lot of people that are.
Yeah. Well, I think you need to put a caveat on that too, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
That there's homeless people and then there's people without shelter.
Right.
Two distinct different categories.
Exactly. And we touched on that before. Go ahead.
I know some people, actually some are even mutual friends that, are homeless, but sheltered.
Right.
So they don't have a permanent home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But they have a shelter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to touch on that.
For some people, it may be an RV. They have to go campground.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their boss lets them park it in the company parking lot,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
There's also some people that have been able to find other means to get shelter, such as sleep at the warehouse where you work. It's okay with your boss. There's a bathroom there. Maybe let you put in a microwave, a refrigerator, couch, something like that. Right. You could even say, it's exchanged for 24-hour security or something like that. But nonetheless, this type of people still don't have a home, but they're sheltered. Right. It's the unsheltered homeless that are really the problem. That's what we see every day on the streets. Yeah. That's what most of the panhandlers at the intersections are.
Yeah, the same ones that we see over and over.
The tent city people.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, well, the tent city people have shelter. Well, you can't really consider a tent sheltered. Well, it's not really sheltered.
When I think about that, and I really wanted to, next week what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of one of the tent cities that I go by every day, and to me, okay, it's a tent city. It's a trailer city. It's just, I've talked to us about it. It's to the runway of the airport. Just off the runway, and to me, it looks like a community of people that it generally looks more like a commune than it does a tent city. So you got different people parked in different places with what appears to look like whatever belongings that they had to take out of their apartment or whatever, and then they bought this trailer and they took the trailer out and they got their cars and stuff like that. But there's one guy out there that I don't understand it, but he's got a trailer out there, but he's probably got 10 boats around his trailer, like he collects boats or something like that. And it confuses me. I think what confuses me the most is that the possessions that the homeless people covet while they're homeless, and we're gonna touch on that later, because this is the Weathered Soul podcast today is a little bit more local flavor. We're talking about San Francisco. We're going to be talking about Gilroy. We're going to be talking about the city council meeting that went down last Monday. That's exactly what I was doing on Monday night when Dougie was working and I was doing some of my video work, but I was also attending the city council meeting. We're going to touch on what they talked about with the homeless situation here. But it surprises me about the possessions that homeless people will. I mean, I guess unless you experience it, you don't know. I've been homeless before. I slept in my car for, I was probably homeless for a week and a half. It was not a great experience, but I can't imagine, having the possessions that they have and hauling them around. I mean, you see the cart people, you see the people out in the middle of the tent cities with just stuff all over the place. I mean, they just collect stuff, and I don't know if it's a mental thing or whether it's a human action thing. You know, I really don't know. To me, if I was homeless and transitory, I'd probably want to be, you know, running around with the lightest load that I can. So, I mean, that would be my mentality on, but then again, I'm not homeless, so I don't know. I don't know what they're going through with that. But I want to continue on with this article. It says, the quote is, "It's a sort of game of musical chairs." Now, a few years ago, a team of economists at Zillow found that once cities cross the threshold where the typical resident must spend more than a third of their income on housing, homelessness begins to spike rapidly. When the incomes don't keep pace with the cost of rent, a cascade effect ripples through the housing market, and high-income folks start renting places that middle-income folks used to rent. And then it cascades down to where the middle-income people start renting the places that low-income people used to rent, and the low-income people are left scrambling for what's left, which is usually not much. It's a sort of game of musical chairs, Roman says, and people who have a strike against them because they have mental illness, substance abuse disorder, or disability are least likely to get the chair. And so that's another thing. Like you said, we got degrees of homelessness that we have out there. So I also.
Right. And many reasons for it too.
Yeah. I also know people that are homeless because of the fact that or they're sheltered homeless because they are living in a trailer, or they have a motorhome that they park somewhere, and you know, some of them, you know, actually, I know a couple of people that do that, and they're fine with it. They're just like, yeah, it's great not having bills and stuff like this. It's a little discomforting having to go to a station to have to go flush out their, you know, their septic tank every once in a while and stuff like that. But there's many of them that I see every day, you know, when I'm driving in the industrial area of Santa Clara, where it's just, you know, I can see where businesses and stuff like that can start saying, you know, this is really beginning to be a problem. And yeah, so but like I said, you know,
well, you know, if you go into those camps, I think you find that a lot of those people in the kind of pop up, like on the corner of the highway entrance encampments, where the people that have, you know, like the shopping cart people, you find a lot of them have mental illness.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a human rights abuse to let mentally ill people suffer like that. Right. I mean, I always thought that there was a place for them, you know, like they were taken care of, but you know, over the last 40 years or so, that's all gone away.
Well, you know, when Reagan took away that funding and stuff like that for the mental health, I mean, I hate to say that it was done out of meanness, because I don't think it was done out of meanness. I think it was done because of the pressures that were being held for places like, I mean, you know, I heard all the bad publicity about Agnew's State Hospital here in Santa Clara County, and it, you know, from what I understand, it was not a good place. But I mean, you know, push comes to shove, you know, sometimes people just don't know that they're being, you know, treated badly. I mean, you know, they're still living. I'm not sure if they had an excess of deaths or anything like that, or inhumane treatment. I have no idea. Like I said, I just remember the reports that, you know, Agnew's was not the place you wanted to be, and if you were arrested and deemed a psycho, that's where you went, you know, for a couple of days, and then they let you out or whatever. But a lot of people, you know, it was a place where you stayed, you know, and a lot of people stayed there.
Like the one who
one flew over the cuckoo's. Yeah, exactly. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. So was it a society problem, or was it a fiscal problem? I think in this day and age of what we're even experiencing now with people being, quote, woke and this and that, you know, it disturbs these people and this disturbs that people and stuff like that. That exacerbates problems like mental illness and stuff like that, to the point where you can't do anything about it, because if you try to do the right thing, it's the wrong thing. And if you try to do the wrong thing, it's even worse. So,
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
so you're in a catch-22 situation. And
Right. And then the other side of that too is, I'm kind of with you on this, where it's like, we shouldn't build a new bureaucracy because of it. Because, then what happens?
yeah,
The money that should be going to help the problem is now going to pay the salaries and the retirement and the health care for the rest of their lives of the employees. Because as soon as you get employed by the state or the city, you get the perks, which include, health care for you and your family, and your salary from now until the day you die, that kind of stuff. And so even if you close the bureaucracy, it's still got the people there sucking off of the, it's like it becomes a big money pit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's the problem there. You don't want to make the Council on Homelessness, right? Because then all they're going to be is they're going to be people getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to look at the problem and not do anything about it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
I mean, your brother, I had the pleasure of meeting your brother, and we had a really long conversation, and I was really, impressed by some of his viewpoints.
Yeah.
And,
he's got a couple of PhDs, so he's been around.
He's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting talking to him, but I really agreed with him on the fact that smaller is better. These smaller solutions, that I'm not going to get into all the solutions that he had, or even any of the solutions that he had, but the smallest solutions are the best solutions. And it goes without saying with everything. I mean, once a small little action starts affecting a couple of people, that's fine. You can sustain that. But once it starts growing and growing and growing to where it can't sustain itself, all of a sudden the only thing it's sustaining is the bureaucracy that it created, like you said, from within. And then all of a sudden those people that they were trying to intentionally help don't get help at all. And that's just one of those problems.
Or they get less help than they should, or than they would otherwise.
Yeah.
So then what's the other alternative? I mean, there's charitable organizations. I mean, some people, I know a lot of my Republican friends would say, that's what the church is for. That's what charity is for. Let the church take the homeless people off the street. That's their job.
I think it's our responsibility, period, as human beings, to do something about it. Whether we do it about it on the government level, I think is debatable. Or if we do it on the foundation level, is another debatable thing, or council, or whatever you want to call it.
What could we say? Like, how about we put them all on a Greyhound and send them to Phoenix, where it only costs $235 a month for a studio apartment.
And that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I think what has been, at least with the homeless population that is transitory, at least, quote, transitory and able enough to do that, I think we've lost that ability. I mean, think about the pioneer days when they had the gold rush. I mean, how many people tore up what they had back east and rushed towards the west, and whatever they did to get here, that's what they did to get here. And
lived in a tent and
things like that. So, people have been homeless forever. I mean, let's get down to it.
You can even go farther back. It's the same thing.
Right.
Gold rush, whatever. Just out here in the Sierra at Bodie, right? The Comstock load and all that. They had towns, and like the migrant workers or the new immigrants to the country, like the Chinese on this coast, they were living in tent cabins.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
They couldn't afford a house.
Yeah, they couldn't afford a house.
Look at Little House on the Prairie. The guy made his house out of grass.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
he cut up sod and made bricks out of sod.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it was better than sleeping under a train bridge, I guess. Right.
Well, yeah.
So if you have the mental capacity to do something like that, then you just need a little helping hand.
Yeah, you should. Right? Yeah, we'll give you a hand up instead of a handout.
But if you don't have the mental capacity to even know that you're in a bad way, what can then should you become an heir of the state? Should you become
the state? I
right?
think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I think that's the humane thing to do. I really
Yeah.
do. I think it's a
Well, it would
humane
be.
thing to do.
It absolutely would be.
So anyway,
But
and
some Republicans would say that's the socialist thing to do.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Sorry.
A 2016 study of the McKinsey Global Institute estimated that California needs about 3.5 million new housing units by 2025 to deal with this chronic housing shortage. Yet new housing construction has only slowed since then, despite Governor Gavin Newsom's campaign to promise to lead an effort to produce those 3.5 million units. Even before the pandemic wrought havoc on the construction business, California was constructing only 100,000 homes per year, and that was way below the minimum of 180,000 per year that analysts say that the state desperately needed. So one of the things that they're saying is that the lack of housing in California is the problem, and so what they're saying too is they're also comparing us to places like New York. So they say, okay, so what's different in, let's say, New York? Booming cities in other states have already arguably done a better job than San Francisco and Los Angeles by at least providing a bandage over the gushing wound. New York City, for example, has a right to shelter and a sprawling shelter system that helps people sleep indoors every night. New York City has a rate of homelessness similar to San Francisco and LA, but has a different character. As of January 2020, 72% of homeless Californians were unsheltered, compared to that of New York State, where only 5% were unsheltered.
Well, you know what the big difference there is?
What is the big difference there?
If you don't have a place to go inside in the middle of winter, you die.
Yeah, listen to Dougie, because
so you can either start having your coroner taking care of your homeless people, or you can find them a shelter.
Right. The result of a city where homelessness, while still troubling, is also less in your face. Warmer weather on the West Coast, which may alter the thinking about the cruelty of allowing people to sleep outdoors, could play a role in the difference. But New York has a right to shelter because of the 1979 court decision that interpreted the state constitution to give New Yorkers this right. Instead of building a big system of shelters, California cities have taken more of a lackadaisical approach that the UC San Diego sociologist calls tolerant containment, basically shooing the unhoused to certain neighborhoods of squalor, such as San Francisco's Tenderloin, Los Angeles' Skid Row, or smaller towns like Gilroy, and then selectively prosecuting them for living on the streets and then putting them in prison, of course. It's just an ongoing problem that needs to be dealt with, and I don't think as far as I'm going to conclude this a little bit, but I don't think the answer is huge bureaucracies taking care of the situation, but what is a small system supposed to do, and how many small systems can we have that can sustain themselves to be able to take care of these people and the mental health of these other people? I do think that it's the state's responsibility to take care of the mental health of these people. I don't think it's the federal government's responsibility. I think
and we have agencies that can help out with that now without making something new.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
we do. The problem is that sometimes these agencies start getting too big, and then, like you said before, the new bureaucracy gets too big to help the
right. But we shouldn't make it. We shouldn't make a new one. You know, that's what I'm saying. Instead of making a whole new bureaucracy where everything's going to be all screwed up, and you got to have this one going, and that one coming, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we all have a hand.
We should have systems in place now.
Yeah, we all have a hand in
that can, there should be some kind of a system can help the let's just call it underemployed, undersheltered people, and then another system for the unsheltered people, and then maybe like another organization or part of another organization that takes care of all the mentally ill people.
Yeah, and I think that's good for now.
Everything from EDD, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a job. I'm unemployed. Help me find a job.
Yeah.
Right. I'm living in my camper.
Yeah.
I'm eating cat food. Help me find a job. All right. There's one type of homelessness.
Yeah.
Another type of homelessness is I can't afford to live here, even though I have a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's one that we're talking about too, with the no inventory of low income houses.
Right.
No inventory of apartments that cost. If we had a glut of apartments, they wouldn't cost more than my mortgage right now.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I know
I'm
people
paying.
that are yeah, people are renting 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartments in San Jose, paying as much as my mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
house next door to me rents out for twice what I pay for my mortgage. So, I mean,
Yeah.
go figure,
So if we had a
that
glut
out.
of apartments, those prices would have to come down
Yeah.
because there'd be a competition. Nobody go, why live at a
Well,
$2,400 a month place when you can get one for $800?
I think it's an unpopular decision that I would take, but I think that if you take away rent control, you solve a bunch of that situation. But that's another discussion for another day. But when I was attending on Monday night, when I was attending the city council meeting in Gilroy, they were talking exactly about the homeless situation. They were talking exactly about the safe parking, ad hoc safe parking of these people that do have shelter and stuff like that for of course the city. And I gave you a little bit of this earlier, Doug, but the number in a study, the background, the number of unhoused in Gilroy is becoming an increasing issue. At the recent South County Plan to End Unhoused webinar, according to the 2019 census, which is 2 years ago, the census information regarding the unhoused to the city of Gilroy has a documented of 704 residents in comparison to Morgan Hill, which is just on the other side of Gilroy, 114. At the April 19th, 2021 City Council meeting, the Unhoused Ad Hoc Committee Chair Councilperson Carol Marquez and Dion Bracco presented to the city 12 recommendations for the City Council for these considerations. Please bear with us because this is local information, but it's still the same information.
Yeah, it's global.
You're going to have.
Globally.
Yeah,
This is global. You might be looking.
This is
Might be
global.
looking through a tube right now, but
Absolutely.
you're looking at the whole world here.
Absolutely.
You know, it sounds like, you know, like the number of homeless didn't change too much, but the unsheltered homeless seem to have gone up a bit.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. So since 2020, with local unhoused stakeholders to better understand their experiences, it's the hope of the UAC to provide City Council with opportunities that can contribute towards addressing the national crisis. As of September 8, 2020, Unhoused City Council study session, City Council supported the creation of an ad hoc committee. Council members Marquez, Bracco, Tovar were appointed to begin discussions on city's next steps addressing the unhoused problem. We're going to get Tovar on the show here in the next couple of weeks, and I know him personally, so he's decided he has agreed to come on the show.
I'd like to add one other thing too quickly.
Yeah,
you know, one of the things that's stopping all these houses, low-income houses, you know, being built is a lot of our state and local housing zoning regulations. Okay. You know,
absolutely.
We're zoned so you can't put an in-law apartment in your backyard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. You know, where building code is so that even if you wanted to just build a shed that might be inhabited in the future, it's going to cost you 16 times more than it would just to build a shed. I mean, the earthquaking, the firing, the smelling, you know, the this and that and everything else. So that's one reason why we have such a problem here. They won't let people build houses.
Right.
I mean, hell, you know, look at some of the stuff they used to put up. Like look at the Eichler houses and you know, some of the old houses, old farmhouses that used to be for the farm workers and stuff. You know, they look like chicken coops that had the screens taken out and windows put in.
I mean,
but they've been standing there for 90 years.
Yeah, but you go out into the agricultural areas of Gilroy, and they're still standing. They're still there, and they're still inhabited.
And they were built before there was a code.
Yeah, exactly. And so, what's wrong? So, what's wrong with building? I don't want to say what's wrong with building bad housing. I just want to say what's wrong with building adequate housing for the situation that we have.
Difficult.
Exactly. Why make it so difficult? So
you got a lot of people that have little tiny appendages in the building departments. That's why, because that's the bureaucracy thing. It's like Oh,
Right.
I'm the biggest fish. Oh,
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
how
yeah.
smart
We
I
need
am. I'm
we
going to
need we
make
need
this code. I'm
yeah,
going to take this code. Yeah.
we need to build 3-story apartment buildings next to transit centers so we can have this shopping center and blah 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 and yada yada. Let's just build the houses, guys. Let's just build the freaking shelters that people need to be able just to get out of the cold and at least
Right.
just not be scared at night because they're
How much
laying
does
in a tent.
how much does a single person or a couple need?
Yeah,
Right? You need a bedroom, you
yeah,
need a cooking eating area,
yeah,
and you need a relaxing area.
yeah. That's it.
Okay? You
Yeah.
can do that in 20 feet by 10 feet.
I'm sure in Japan, yeah, I've heard in different
Yeah.
spots and around the world that they have little domiciles
Oh,
that
hey.
are no bigger than just enough to
I told you a story about the guy in Seoul, the
okay.
technician I was training in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we went out partying one night, and it was really late, and there was no taxi. So I said, "Why don't you come up to my room and sleep, man? I got a big bed, and it's whatever, right?" So he came into my, it's like king size bed, big bedroom, private bathroom, and he's looking at me like your bathroom is bigger than my apartment, and I've got a big apartment. He goes, "I've got a double apartment."
And it's true. I've seen the domiciles that they have.
His apartment was a bachelor domicile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Funded by the company he works for, subsidized by the company he works for. Okay, and he had a room that was 6 feet by 4 feet. That was his room.
And that was enough.
Okay, and it had a bamboo mat on the floor and a nail on the wall. He had one suit that he took off and hung on the nail at night, and he slept on the mat. And he had a big room because a lot of those rooms had 2 people in them. There's bathroom down the hall, and when he needed to change his underwear and socks, he threw them in the garbage and bought new ones. That was his life, and he was happy as a pig in slop.
Yep.
He had a good life.
Yep.
Okay, so how much do we really need?
We don't need a lot.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, the only reason why we have what we have, what me and you, Dougie, we have similar houses and stuff. We have it because we bought it, right? We have careers, we have families, we have this, we have that. In the blink of an eye, that could change. I mean, we could be right where all these other people are, and it really doesn't take much for that to happen. I mean, if we lost our job or something like that, or something catastrophic happened, we probably have enough to live by for a while. But let me tell you, I mean, it runs out. It runs out, and it doesn't matter whether like my place is worth almost $1 million, your place is worth almost $1 million. We make X amount, and stuff. We got a 401k, we got this and that. But once the income stops, now you're relying on your assets that you have, and it doesn't
once
take
they
long.
rot out,
and once they rot out, then where are you at? Now you're searching for a 6x4 freaking place to live. And that's kind of the way it happens. So what Gilroy's trying to do is number one, they're trying to fund a situation with the Compassion Center of Gilroy to have a safe place for people to park. Some of the horror stories that I heard of some of the people that called into the city council meeting was, I wanted to cry, only because of the fact that, people that are on the streets that actually have shelter are parked on the streets, but it is against the law in Gilroy in some places where you feel safe to park.
Well, it's against the law even to park your private camper on the street for more than like 24 hours.
Right. And
I mean, even if you're just there, park it to load it for go camping next weekend.
Right. And these people aren't parking in neighborhoods. I mean, we don't have a homeless problem around it. I mean, we got homeless around us. We have I have the National Guard Armory that's open now.
A couple blocks away. Yeah.
Not even a couple blocks away, half a block away from me, and the park. And there's nobody parked around there, parked overnight or anything. So I mean, it's not in the neighborhoods. This is in the industrial areas that they're parking, on the streets, probably some in the unincorporated areas next to an orchard or whatever. And the police are going in there. And I heard heartbreaking stories of, moms with kids that are getting evicted from this area, and they've got no place to go. There's,
you know what?
Go ahead.
So Walmart, okay. Remember when Walmart was on the other side of the mall? I mean, of the outlets.
That was before I lived here, but I remember.
Okay.
I remember somebody saying,
Yeah,
it was under.
There's that's where what's his name's campers are now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when Walmart was there, Walmart allows people to camp in their parking lots, transient people or people touring the country or whatever. You can overnight in a Walmart parking lot. They don't care. Gilroy said, you want to build a Walmart super center? You want to put groceries in there? You can put groceries in there, but no more campers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how benevolent our leaders are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been the same people over and over again. I mean, I could name you the names over and over and over, but you know the names that I'm talking about.
Are those the ones that own the KOA campground?
Right. But after receiving City Council support for the 14 recommendations, the UAHC has identified the top 5 recommended priorities, and they want to establish a safe parking program. They want to support a mobile garbage removal program. They want to explore the purchasing of a garbage compactor truck, and they want to hire a quality of life officer and explore the differences amongst the police officers and a CSO. So a lot of debate went through on the city council meeting over this, and we're going to go over tonight a little bit, guys, because I'm just way into this conversation and this is into my heart. So we're going to go a little bit over on this, and I don't care what you guys say.
Is that a threat?
But one of the things is that whenever they talk about this stuff, whenever the city council talks about this stuff, all they talk about is how they can increase revenue into the city coffers or the general fund to take care of this stuff. I mean, is it Gilroy's problem for their own homeless population? Well, yes, of course it's Gilroy's problem for their own homeless population, but I don't think the answer is an increased sales tax. I don't think the answer is an increased property tax. I don't think I don't think any of those taxes should go up. But what I do think that should happen is that if we're talking about the lack of homes or the lack of availability of available housing, that we have to loosen up those regulations that keep developers from making affordable houses, because some of these people that are out there that are sheltered homeless just need an affordable place to freaking live. Hands down. Then you get rid of 25% of your homeless population right there.
And then instead of spending all of their energy on just surviving, maybe they could spend a little bit of their energy on actually living.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of freaking worrying about whether the cops are going to knock on their freaking trailer tonight
and
say you're going to get robbed, they're going to, and something's going to happen to them, a little bit of security. They've also, and one of the biggest things that I have a problem with the homeless population, or just not the homeless population, but the result of the homeless population, is the astounding amount of garbage, the astounding amount of trash and stuff that is taken care of, that builds up. And we just as a homeowner, we consume we develop trash, and
a lot of it.
And what grates me is that they're asking the general fund itself, because this was part of the conversation. They're asking the general fund itself to be budgeted in a way that they can buy a trash compactor for the compassion center or a garbage removal program. Well, last time I checked, and this is very important, guys, because I'm a bitch at everybody in any city that you're listening to tonight, and in any town or any county or wherever you're at, I'm bitching at you right now. I'm calling you guys out. You guys don't go to your city council meetings. You don't speak up when the public is allowed to speak up, and you don't make yourself concerned about these things, because when they were having the public comment on some of these things, it was just me and maybe 3 other people. And with a situation that we have like this, that meeting should have went hours with public comment on stuff like this. 4 years ago, we had Recology came in, and they were bidding against Waste Management on a contract for Gilroy. Gilroy agreed to a contract with Recology that says that they can have the garbage duties here in Gilroy and be able to have a 3 to 5% raise every year in their rates. Now, whether or not that competes with inflation, I don't give a fuck. And I'm being very bland about it. I don't give a damn. One of the situations, the next time it comes up for contract, because I believe it comes up for contract either this year or next year, is that the city has to demand that any trash receptacle or ecology place or freaking waste management, anybody, that contract has got to include waste management for the homeless population.
If we're going to do that, or let's get rid of government-sponsored trash collection and have it go private, and then I can choose whether I want Joe's garbage service, Rick's garbage service, or John's garbage service.
Yeah, I like that
and
too.
They'll all be driving around doing their routes on their trucks, and that's fine. And then they'll go up to the dump and pay the dump fees to dump it.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Take it right out of the government's hands.
Yeah, but then that leaves the homeless population to fend for whoever, the homeless population can. But maybe what you do is that they build into Joe's garbage service, $1 or $2 a month to take care of that homeless situation in your neighborhood, and there you go. It's all taken care of. Yeah. That's how the little things, the little itty bitty things, take care of itself.
I grew up in a town where there were no services. Right. There were no services.
Yeah, you took care of your own garbage.
Yeah, it's a volunteer fire department. Mm-hmm. Right. No city sewer, no city water.
Very libertarian.
You got a septic tank. You got a well. You got your garbage.
Very libertarian.
You used to be able to incinerate it, but then they kind of put a kibosh on that.
Right.
But if you go to our town, you go to San Martin to whatever what's that called, the transfer station.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our town used to have a dump, but it filled up, so then they turned it into a transfer station.
Right.
You go there, and of course, a lot more anal. Like there's bins for clear glass, green glass, brown glass. And you got to sort it all out.
Pig wood, wood, pig wood.
Half the time, people go, they drop stuff off, but they can also pick stuff up.
Right.
You got all the good stuff under a big.
I remember that.
And you can walk in there, you see something.
Oh, I remember that little thrift store at the same time.
Yeah, but it's free.
It was not a store; it's free. It's a free store.
Yeah, it's like you drive into the place, and the guy at the little thing goes, "Drop it off or pick it up."
There's just not enough places like that. It's the same thing with paint too. It's the same thing with hazardous materials like paint. What happened to the place where you can go, where you can take your paint, and somebody who needed paint can come by and pick up paint if they need it. And they don't give a shit what color. They just want something to paint their wall.
Yeah, now you bring your leftover paint to a special place over by the airport that's like under lock and key security. They don't let you get out of your car.
And they come out in a spacesuit.
They take all the paint out of your truck or whatever, and then they roll it off into a big vat where it's gonna, I don't know, sit there for 90 years.
Dude, it's just freaking unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And one of the last things that they talked about here was also hiring a quality of life officer. So actually adding on to the police force, a quality of life officer, a social worker or something like that.
We used to have a community officer. She was a really nice lady. She's who we started our block association with.
Okay.
All right.
And what happened with that situation? So
one day the city council decided they didn't want to pay her to do that anymore.
Oh, okay. So now they're talking about doing that again.
She's still employed, but
so now they're talking about doing that again, but they can't decide whether they want a community service officer or whether they want to have a police officer, whether they want to have security or whether they want to have a social worker. So, I mean, they went back and forth.
They need a social worker that's got a uniform, that's got a police uniform.
They're talking about it.
Police officers can be social workers too.
Yeah, but they're talking about somebody that's not so intrusive because they were talking about an ununiformed person to go in instead of a uniformed person that could agitate a situation.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to say is this should come from another department. We're not going to make a new job. There should be somebody in one of our departments that can already do that.
I'm sure there probably is. I think they're just trying to come up with I guess additional funding through taxes again.
Why? We're already paying this person's salary wherever else they're working.
And that's what I'm trying to say, Doug. It's just like every time we start talking about something new for the homeless or something new for this or something new for that, all of a sudden they're talking about we're going to raise your sales tax. We're going to raise your freaking property tax. I don't know how many times I have to say. I don't know how many times I have to say no. Don't freaking.
We're going to raise your taxes so we could pay this new person's salary to do a job that we already have 5 people that could do.
Well,
but they work for the town and they're so busy.
yes,
It's such a hard job.
yes,
They
yes.
get
It's
so
such a hard job.
abused.
Yeah, they get so abused that they won't even open up city council chambers because they feel so secure behind their Zoom meeting. We don't have to worry about seeing the public in our Zoom meeting. All we have to do is listen to them.
Yeah, let them
and
throw their
roll
tomatoes
our,
at
and roll our eyes when Bruce the Weathered Soul calls them.
Yeah, and let him throw his rotten tomatoes at his computer screen instead of us.
Or lets him do his editorial in the Gilroy Dispatch. I mean, come on, how long has it been since I've done that? But anyway.
Well, that's another thing where I grew up too. I told you it was a town hall, it was a town meeting type government. It was a true democracy.
Yes.
So it was like there wasn't a city council that made the decisions.
I love the way that
the city council would say, "Here's the proposal. What do you all think?" And it'd be a rate, I, no, I's got it.
Yeah, I love the way that I hear you and your brother talk, and I hear other people talk that are from back east up into the northern states and stuff like that, that actually have seen this type of situation work, and it was very not Republican, it was very not Democrat, it was very just people getting together and making a goddamn decision, right? So I mean, for the good of the for the community instead of good for the city or the government or the freaking state, how about good for the community instead of good for
that's
the
what
mayor?
Our government's supposed to be about.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be there for us,
and it's not. Yeah, and it's not.
They try to exist.
Yeah, and try. So just to end the discussion here, the anticipated portion of the one-time CARES Act relief funds, air quotes, can be used to financially support these recommendations. Any additional costs mostly will come from the general fund, and that's what we're talking about. This additional sales tax, how they were going to fund this thing, how they were going to do all this thing.
Right, they don't even have enough money to fix the potholes in our roads. They're going to build poor people houses now.
But ladies and gentlemen, I want to share something with you right now, and we're going to share the screen here, and I want to show you everybody in America that I know of has a city freaking website. Go to your city freaking website, please. Go to your city website and find the city council. Find out who your city council people are, because some cities are big and some cities are small, like Gilroy. I happen to know the mayor personally. I happen to know Fred Tovar, which is one of our councilmen personally. I've got a couple of enemies at the city council, but I mean, because they don't like me, but they don't really know me. But the fact of the matter is that your representatives in your city council are the most powerful people in America. It's not the president of the United States. It's not your senator. It's not your freaking state representative. It's those people in your county. It's those people in your school board. And if you're pissed off about going on in your community or what's going on in your state or anything like that, you need to get involved with your school board. Your school board is actually more influential than your city council. So, I mean, that's a huge thing right there. So get involved in your school board or run for a school board position, because that way then you can get your own ideas in there and stuff like that. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to be able to sit here and talk about it.
You don't even have to have kids in school to be on the school board.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not like the PTA. Yeah.
But please, everybody, get involved in your community. At least go to a freaking city council meeting and sit in and see what's going on, and then have an opinion, and then get your neighbor to have an opinion, and get your neighbor across the street to have an opinion. Go there and stomp your feet and yell and be antagonistic, like AKA the Weathered Soul, because that's what I do. Does it make any difference to the city council? No, but they hear me.
But they all remember you.
And they all remember me. They all roll their eyes when I come in. So, I mean, they go, what is he going to say this time?
Well, good for you, man.
But yeah, it's one of those situations that is very important to do. And, like I said, we're going to go a little bit over today, because it was just really, I love talking about this. I love talking about the homeless situation, because I love being able to converse with Doug on this and have different ideas bounce off and things like that, and try to anticipate that this conversation is going to affect you enough to go out and at least think about it a little bit, and maybe talk to your friends friends, maybe talk to your family, your community, and maybe do something useful about this situation.
Something that really sucks too is when you see homeless vets.
It really kills me.
That's not right. That's not fair.
That
Those
really
are people
kills me.
who should get a free ride. I don't care.
All the way. All the way.
I mean, you know, you don't have to pay a hotel for them every night or something like that, but they should get what they need. I mean,
with no question,
we owe it to them.
No questions.
It was a contract that we signed with them.
Yeah. No questions asked. I mean, you know, I salute, you know, we just passed by Memorial Day, you know, Doug knows I'm this big anti-war guy. And, you know, believe me, you know, there's, you know, every war that we've been in has been kind of controversial, but there's been wars that we've actually fought for freedom, you know, and a couple of those wars, you know, we've had some sketchy stuff in, but basically the last wars that we've been in for the last 30 years have been total bullshit. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't mind the sacrifice that other men and women have made, you know, the ultimate sacrifice for dying for freedoms that I enjoy. But a lot of people a lot of soldiers have been sacrificed. They did not sacrifice, they were sacrificed. And that's what upsets me the most, and that's why I'm anti-war. And that's why whenever somebody gets out of their service, you know, especially if you've been in a war or you served your country for, you know, a career, when you get out of there, you should have everything that you need. No questions asked, no freaking sign on the dotted lines. No, are you deserving of this or deserving that? You've already proved that you have deserved this. And my tax-paying dollars should go for every bit of money that it takes to keep you either healthy, housed, or fed.
Right.
All three of them.
Right.
All three of them.
Okay, you're a vet. Okay, you've done your time. You didn't re-up. You retired. Whatever. You know what? Here's on-base housing for you. If you ever need it, give us a call.
Give us a call.
We have a house here for you.
Yeah.
If you need it.
Exactly. Yeah. What's the problem with that? What is the problem with that? You spend trillions of dollars on this freaking military industrial complex that you cannot take care of your soldiers. We throw millions of dollars at this homeless situation only to go to bureaucrats.
And you know what's good about on-base housing? There's no local zoning. There's no local building department. Can actually build them a house they can live in. And it costs $95,000 in nails.
We're going to close this situation. We're going to close this conversation right now because we've gone over tonight. And as I promised you, if you stay tuned on this live podcast, you're going to be able to see the video that I made on the Weathered Soul podcast, or any of the podcasts that I'm doing, because I'm probably going to run it on a whole bunch of different podcasts. But I want to take you a couple places. I'm going to share the screen right now of where we're at. You can find us at. You can find us at anchor.fm. This is where you find us to listen to us. And also, as you listen to us on anchor.fm/the Weathered Soul podcast, you can also support us. You can support us by offering us $99 a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. And I can't promise you that you're going to get anything out of it, but the pure entertainment or white noise that you want to get from us, one of the two, because we're the greatest podcast that you've never heard of. But please, if you go listen to us, we get paid every time you give a listen. It's not very much that we get paid, but at least we get paid a little bit. And every couple of months, I get to take that out and clean my microphone. Yeah. So,
and you're not limited to one subscription.
Exactly.
You can subscribe as many times as you like.
If you have many different addresses, subscribe under many different addresses. It works out great. I love it. And then you can go to the Weathered Soul Podcast Facebook site, and all you have to do is go into the search box and type in the Weathered Soul Podcast, or you can type in the AKA the Weathered Soul. It'll take you right to the site. You can join whenever you want to join, and we can take you there. And you can, we have all kinds of stuff that I do. I post articles. I post my morning drive there every morning. Other people post different things on the website. It's a fantastic group that we're in. All you have to do is go there and click the join button, and I will more than likely let you in. We also have our YouTube. If you're sitting there watching us live, more than likely you're watching us on YouTube. So here's the YouTube Weather Soul Liberty Network. Just type up here in the search bar, Weather Soul Liberty Network. It'll bring you to the Weather Soul Liberty Network channel on YouTube. And there you can get all the podcast that I do, which is the morning drive. We can do, let me see, where's the playlist here? Let me go to the playlist right here, and you can go see the morning drive. How about this, which is our upcoming podcast? You can go see The Pit of My Stomach, Bruce for Liberty, The Morning Drive, the Weathered Soul podcast. We're all there every week. We always have great content that you can watch each and every week or each and every day, because I post there daily my morning drive, and you can be there. So I gotta say again, thanks, Dougie. Welcome home, welcome back, because I missed you last week. It was very short and it was very odd not having anybody to bounce ideas off of. I lost the practice of doing a podcast alone, so now I have to have Dougie with me every week, because he is the number one co-host in all of podcasting. And right now, what we're going to do is, after Dougie says goodnight, I'm going to run the video, and you guys can enjoy that, and the podcast will end after that. So DJ, how you doing, man? Take it away.
Boss, I need a raise.
Say good night, Dougie.
Good night, Dougie.
And this is a good night to you from AKA the Weather Soul, and we will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye. All right, guys. Stick barbecuing is a pain in the ass. Hey guys, Bruce the Weathered Soul here. How you guys doing today? A grilling moment today for the Weathered Soul podcast, or in the pit of your stomach, or wherever I'm going to post this, morning drive, whatever. I've got plenty of freaking podcasts that I can do this little video with. But today I'm using my Hollow 4-in-1. It's got the sear plate, it's got the gas grill, it's got the barbecue grill with the side smoker, the offset smoker. Well, today what we're going to do is we are going to grill. Hold on, I don't do this often, but we're going to grill, or we're going to smoke some ribs. I use my offset smoker for the very first time, and I've been doing all kinds of research on it. And one thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that it'd be worth your while to either get another thermometer that you can put down at grill level right here, so you can see what the grill temperature is, or don't use this top one, because the top one's going to lie to you. If anything that I've learned in the past couple of days watching some YouTube videos is that you got to have both temperatures close to each other. So that's what we're going to do. One other thing I want to show you is that the smoker side also has one of these trays right here. Okay, well, I took that tray off for the time being, and I stored it over here, and that's going to give me the room that I need, the clearance that I need to do my rack of ribs. Some of these places want you to put your ribs flat on the grill. That's fine. I like to do a couple more racks of ribs. I'm doing 2 racks of ribs, so I've got about four or 5 pieces that I need to put on here, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So hopefully that'll give you a little upstart on what I'm doing here. Next segment, I'll be firing up the grill as they told me I should. And we'll be going through the motions on firing up the grill and getting it to heat, and then putting the ribs on. Okay, see you next segment. Okay, well, I'm back, and we're getting ready to run my ribs and fire up this grill. And got a couple more features that I wanted to show you that I bought. I bought this dual thermometer. It's a food thermometer and a barbecue thermometer. I've got an instant read thermometer for my ribs later on, and we're not going to be opening up this very much. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to monitor the grill area too. So not only did we put this gauge in this morning, we also put a probe back here, and I'll show you what the probe looks like. Here's the probe right here. We're going to insert that right in here like so, and take our our little probe thing here, and we're going to close the lid. Because I'm a rookie at this, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But we're going to try. So we're going to have not only the front that we're going to see, we're also going to see the rear in cooperation with the top. And then we're going to get what they say is a much more accurate reading on how the grill and the smoker is doing. So I want to make sure before I put my ribs on that pretty much everything is relatively the same. It's not going to be the same front and back and top. So, but I want it to be as close as possible. I want that to compress a little bit and be as close as possible. If it's 20 degrees off, no big deal. If it's 50 degrees off, that's a huge deal. So I want to make sure that that's one of the things that that I want to avoid. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the Kingsford professional competition barbecue stuff. We're gonna fill up our little chimney here. We're gonna fill it up all the way because from what I hear, one of the biggest things is that you can't get your fire up to speed. And what we're gonna do is actually make sure that we have enough coals to put in here, so when we put this hickory wood in, that it's gonna fire right up, and we're gonna have ourselves a nice hot fire. And this is going to come up to speed to where I at least I want to shoot for 200 to 250 is what I want to be at, because that's what I used to do with Baby, which is my indirect smoker that I use. It's actually a barbecue smoker, and I've got a whole system that I do there, but this is totally new. I have no idea what I'm doing. All I know is that what I've seen on the internet and what I've seen on YouTube, hope these guys aren't lying to me, but we're going to fire this thing up, and next time you see me, I'll be showing you when I dump the coals, okay? See ya. So I just started my coals, and they'll be ready in probably 15-20 minutes, something like that, and then we'll pour them in there. But also what I found out was that we want to warm up these logs as much as we can, especially the first ones and the subsequent ones after, because what happens is that you want these things to burn like right away. You want them to fire up once you put them onto the fire. So and then we can regulate that fire apparently, you know, the way you do with all your vents and stuff that you have around here. So but we're going to let this fire up. We're going to warm up some of our logs here, so our first logs on the fire will fire right up, and we'll get that nice what they call that clear or blue smoke that we want, which is the good smoke. And then we will just be using nothing but wood after we start our fire with these briquettes right now. So that's what we're going to do, and I'll be right back. All right, so the coals are fired up. The wood's getting all baked up and all nice and hot and everything. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to get my glove on and we're going to take these coals and we're going to dump them into the box there. Nice there. They're all nice and fired up there and ready to go. Kind of move them around a little bit. Distribute them. Real nice. And then we're going to take one of these chunks of wood. We'll take this one right here, and we're going to set this right down on there. We're going to close it up, open this up, and see if we can get some fire started here. And that's basically what they say is these things should fire up pretty much right away. So we'll see how long it takes for this wood to fire up. But what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for a clear or a blue smoke. As you can see right now, is you've got some smoke coming up right now. That's what you want. You don't want to see black smoke, and you can see that it's firing up right pretty right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our flue is about halfway closed off. We're going to close these for right now. That's inside the area right there. And we're also going to take a look at this. make sure we come up to where we need to be. We're going to close that, keep our things open here. We'll close up everything here. We'll come back and we'll see what we have. We're already at 100 here. We're already at, looks like about 100 there. And we're a little bit over 100 here. So we're going to find out once we get here for about 15-20 minutes and find out where we're at. And then we'll put the ribs on. Kind of also what we want to do is we also want to create some humidity in there to keep our ribs nice and tender and you know, full of juice. So what I do is actually put a pan down there, and I use some white wine, some old white wine that I have laying around. Usually my oldest is the stuff to go in. So put a little bit down there, and I'm going to close everything up, and we'll get everything up to temperature, and then we'll put the ribs on. Okay, so my top dial says about 250. My front dial says I'm somewhere around 250. And my back dial says I'm about 227, 229 and going up. So what I did was I choked this down a little bit, see if we can get this fire down to about 200, 225, and then we'll start putting the ribs on. Okay guys, it appears that I have some work to do, but what now is we're sitting at 250 in the back. We're sitting around 250, somewhere around there, a little bit more in the front here, and sitting right around 275 on the top. So I'm ready to put on my ribs because I really don't like them to go over 250. We'll see if we can keep it there. I've got everything choked off, so looks like our smoke is really doing good here. We got a nice blue clear smoke. It's not black. So it's the good smoke that we need. I'm go ahead and put on, so we have the product here, and these are our ribs that we're going to put on here, and we'll slap those on there. And we're not going to look at these ribs very often, but we're going to keep that fire going and keep it at about 200 to 250 if we can. So next time you see me, you'll be seeing me loading up more wood in the pan there. So we'll talk to you later. Okay. All right, so what I thought was going to happen is happening, but I think I've got it under control. I started some extra briquettes here just to be on the safe side, but I don't think I had enough wood on the fire, so I put another log in there. It was going down, not considerably, but I figured that my briquettes were going to burn out eventually, and I would need to rely on the wood charcoal to keep everything going, which is what happened. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing a little bit of briquettes. I put another log on the fire. As you can see, I opened up the flues to get the temperature back up. I'll bring it back down if it gets too high, but everything seems to be going good. I don't have any black smoke. I've got the nice white, clear, blue smoke you want to see. It's not black, and we're just going to keep going. So I've been a firefighter for about the past half hour, trying to keep my fire under 250 degrees, 260 degrees. It's coming down now. I've had to let some heat escape from the top to keep everything in check. I still got my smoke going on, so that's still good. It didn't turn black or anything, but I shouldn't have put those other briquettes on. So you can see it's burning pretty good down there. I'm going to bust it up here in a little bit, and then I'll put a new log on there just to get the smoke start going again, because I still have some smoke, but we're still cooking pretty good. We got about 2 hours left on this, and then we'll be back. All right, so the ribs have been on for about an hour, and we're going to take a little check on them because I just want to see how they're coming along, and real curious about it because I've been fighting fire for the last couple of segments here, and I'm finally back down to about 237, 236, 235. Actually, it's going down right now, and I'm just going to use my trusty little instant heat thermometer. We're going to lose a little heat right now, but that's okay because I want to kind of scrub off some heat down to about 200. I like being between 200 and 250. Works real well. So we're going to take a look at these real quick, and I'll let you kind of witness it at the same time. Okay, so we're going to open this up. Oh, look at them babies right there. Take our little instant read thermometer. And we're about 140. About 140 right now. We're looking good. We're going to close those back up. We're going to close those babies back up and let them go for about another hour, hour and a half, something like that. As long as we can keep our fire where it needs to be, which now we scrubbed off a bunch of heat, so it's got to come back up. Probably good for another piece of wood, but you can see as we're looking here, it's coming back up. 207 here. We're at about 250, 245 here. On my thermometer that I put in this morning, we're at about 215, somewhere around there. So we're looking good as far as heat right now, and as soon as it starts buzzing at me again like it is now, we'll put another log on the fire and then we'll finish this up. They're looking good. I haven't had any black smoke, anything just but clear and blue smoke, and they look pretty good. So we'll see what's going on later on. Bye. All right, guys, stick barbecuing is a pain in the ass. Let me tell you that right now. But I'm not going to let it defeat me. I'm going to learn from this experience. My fire pretty much went out. I went down to about 160. Had a problem getting my last log to spark up again. I wrapped the ribs because I just learned that if you wrap your ribs after they get to a certain temperature, and then you can get them up to the 190 where you want them before. So I've got my smoker started. As you can see, I'm going again. My ribs are at 152 right now. My fire is at 211 right there at the grill moment, and I've got a fire going in there, which is good. It's better than it was about 20 minutes ago when I was trying to fight to keep this smoker back up to temperature. So next time you see me, I'm going to show you the results of what I've got on my ribs. Should be pretty good. I mean, they look pretty good. I didn't have any black smoke, so everything kind of went well. It's just I have to learn how to manage my fire, probably use smaller chunks, stuff like that, maybe a little bit different charcoal or something like that. I really don't have a clue, but I was fighting fire, and now I was fighting to get fire. So a learning experience for sure, but next time you see me, I'll show you the finished product, and hopefully it'll be yummy, yummy, yummy. Bye. Okay, guys, I'm a magical 2 degrees away from the optimum temperature I need to be to have these ribs done. And let me tell you, it's 6 o'clock, or a little bit after 6 o'clock, so it's been about 4 hours. I wasn't expecting 4 hours. I was expecting, 3.5 hours. But like I said, I fought this thing. I'm going to learn how to use this stick barbecue or this stick smoker. It was it was definitely a challenge for me. And I tell you what, in a couple of minutes, you guys are going to see the result of my hard work and my dedication and all my blowing through this little slot right here to keep that fire going, because man, it was a chore, and it was a lot different than my smoker over here that I call Baby. And Baby I know how to use because I've used her for so long. I know exactly how to use her. She's the indirect smoker. She's not an offset smoker. So this is totally different. Offset smokers are totally different than indirect smoking. And I am hoping that I will never go back to Baby, because Baby needs to be retired. She's old, she's rusty, she's seen her time, and I'm ready to, this smoker, this smoke hollow that I've got right here, and learn the trade and then upgrade to one of those real nice 1/4-inch stainless steel smokers, something like that. I'm really looking forward to it. So the next time you see me, we're going to look at some of those ribs and see if I've got that great big red ring around it, and see if I got a tasty meal. All right, so I've got my ribs. They hit 190 on the barbecue, and here they are when I unwrapped them right here. You can see them as I'm looking at them here. And we're gonna dice into them and see what we've got on the inside. I should have that nice red ring around here. I'm hoping so. But we're gonna find out what these things do and how I did on that stick barbecue. And there it is, right there. There is that red ring you're looking for. They're at 190, so that means that they should render their fat. And let me tell you something else. I didn't do the 3-2-1 method. I actually did the 3-2 method. So I didn't finish these on the grill, but they look delicious, and I hope they're delicious because my company is hungry right now. And if you want more information, all you got to do is watch the Weather Soul podcast Monday nights, 7 p.m. That's all you got to do. You're going to see it there. See you later. Bye. Okay.